I'll join palms and repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Sangha. Keeping the palms joined. Palms down. All right, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all here. Thank you for showing up. Anyone here for the first time? Nobody, really? Anyone here for the first time that doesn't want to raise their hand? Yeah? Good. So you've all been here before. Why? Why show up?
One of the favorite things I do every week.
One of the favorite things you do every week. Well, I'm glad. Reminds me of being a kid, and baseball got me through each week. And I remember we had practice twice a week and a game on Saturday. Actually, sometimes a game during the week also. But I always remember, like, I had like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And as soon as one day was done, I had that next day to look forward to. So when you said that, it made me think about that. That was nice. My childhood was actually amazing. I make it sound like it was really rough. It wasn't. But yeah, but it's still that same feeling of just as soon as it was done, I couldn't wait to go back, you know. Not that you have that feeling, that's my feeling.
But it's kind of that same.
Kind of the same thing. Thank you. I was going for that. Makes me feel better. What else? Why show up?
I'll probably feel better when I leave.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you'll feel better when you leave?
Stressful day, and I just thought, sit on our coach and I have a headache will probably go away.
Yeah. If it doesn't, I'll give you a couple Advil on the way out. If it doesn't work out for you. What else? Why show up? Yeah.
This is the only place where I've ever felt comfortable and look forward to rituals. I never liked it, the Jewish rituals, but I love the ritual.
Yeah. Yeah, ritual, it's funny because, you've heard me talk about this, but it's such a huge part historically of Buddhist practice for 2,500 years. Yet Western culture with Buddhism doesn't do much with it. And Dharma Bum Temple, for the last 18 years since we started, we do even less with it. Yet I do, a little bit, kind of a little bit of ritual trickled in there. But for me, and what I refer to as kind of cultural Buddhism, like there's so much ritual, and I loved it. I didn't understand it for a long time. But there was something about just kind of getting lost in this beautiful motion of intention. Like, I didn't know why they were bowing. I didn't know what they were saying. It was all in Mandarin Chinese. I didn't know how to use the robes. I didn't understand any of that stuff. But something about just trusting where I was and going through that motion, it just brought a lot of peace. And I think it takes, at least for me and often with ritual, it takes us out of our routine that we're stuck in a lot. And a lot of times that routine that we're stuck in isn't so great, So yeah, what else? We'll do one more before we sit. Anyone else want to share why they show up? Yeah.
I did not come here for a few weeks. So, and I've been meditating on my own, and I kind of been like not being able to focus very well, or like, so I feel like coming here, it's a good space for me to kind of like do that with other people and feel kind of more comfortable within myself to do.
Yeah, the reset.
Yeah.
It's good that you've been consistently on your own, still sitting every day, or trying to. Yeah, it's harder at home on your own, huh? Or wherever you are. Yeah. It's good to have, whether it's here or anywhere, spaces to go to, any meditation place, Buddhist place, yoga place, whatever it is, to have that kind of routine, again, that kind of ritual, some sort of practice that really is conducive to just creating a quiet space. So, yeah, it's good. Well, glad you're back. You've made it through the last few weeks without us. So glad you're here. All right, so we'll start with a meditation practice. So those are joining virtually, welcome, glad you're here. Thank you for showing up. Feel free to say hello as you are. There's a chat box somewhere on your screen. A couple things I'll tell you before we begin with the meditation practice. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to float away. You're not going to have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge your practice, meaning don't ask yourself, is this working or not working? Are you doing it right or wrong? We're just going to sit, we're going to breathe. You'll hear sounds inside the room, sounds outside. This is life. Life is filled with chaos. And this practice is learning to get quiet and still within all of the chaos. Posture, you just want to be comfortable. If you're on a cushion, often it helps sliding to the front third, pushing the stomach forward, allows the back to straighten. Most important with this practice, do not expect anything. You're not going to shut the mind off. It won't stop racing. You won't think nothing. Your mind will continue to race. I'll say things periodically to remind you that you're lost in thought, bring you back to present moment, or simply to wake you up because you've fallen asleep. I'll guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. And starting with the eyes closed if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And eventually, settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, they fall. Simply continue this practice Observing sensation of breath. As the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it. Release that thought. Return attention, focus to the breath. Letting go of expectations, no judgments from the practice. Just sitting, breathing. Learning to be comfortable in stillness, in quiet, just sitting, breathing. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle. Know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do. Nowhere else to go. And no one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. Once again, taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. As you slowly open the eyes, slowly beginning to move. And most important, the practice of meditation is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. Ask yourselves how you prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, if it's quiet, calm and still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, has nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how you sit and hold the hands or cross the legs. It's nothing to do with the sounds around us or anything else for that matter. It's everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called Pratitya means dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakening. He was a human being, no different than any one of us, who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. And what that means, very simply, for all of us, regardless of where you come from or what you believe in or where you think you're going, your whole life is filled with things that happen. You react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's it. That's what we get. This practice is simply learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way you responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond to every other 20-minute period of your day. And so all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. It's not an easy practice. It's not necessarily fun. Not escape, as often people think it is. It is direct perception into the present moment. And the present moment, as we know all too well, is filled with conflict, chaos, difficulties, challenges. And so this practice is learning to become aware of our thoughts and our words and our actions within all of these moments. This practice is not easy. It is a challenge every single day. Every single day, life throws madness at us. It's always been that way, and it will always be that way. Embracing that, for me, was really one of the first steps to this practice. Once I stopped thinking that all of a sudden everything was going to go how I wanted it to, or that everybody was going to do what I wanted them to do, or that the world would respond the way I wanted the world to respond. Once you set those things down and you begin to observe what's happening and watch the nature of your mind in those moments, you can then engage in the world to create as much change as you'd like, but from a place of loving kindness and compassion, and not from a place of anger and hatred, which is where we spend so much of our day. Meditation is free. Buddhist practice is free. It's just sitting, breathing, becoming aware of what you think, what you say, and what you do in every moment. That's it. When we stop trying to change and fix, control everything and everyone outside of us, and we work on changing our mind and our reaction to the world around us, life gets simpler. Because we take care of ourselves. Just because the world's a mess doesn't mean that you have to be. If the world's a mess, it's even more of a reason, more important, that you're not. Because if the world's a mess and you're a mess, then you got like the world being a mess plus one. And that sucks. So, pretty sure the Buddha said it exactly like that. So I'm going to pause there. Open up to questions. For me, always prefer responding to questions, meditation, Buddhist practice. Again, to those joining virtually here, feel free if you have any questions, put them in the chat box. I'll do my best to respond. And we'll use the rest of our brief time this evening for questions. Yeah.
Can you give a quick summary of the Dharma? And I want to focus on one Dharma this week. So if you could talk about one Dharma, suggest one Dharma that I can focus on.
Okay, so let me back up. So the question was, can I summarize in essence the Dharma, and can I pick one to focus on? So the Dharma is all of the Buddhist teachings.
Oh, okay.
So I've summed it up for you. It's all of it. Done. But there are two ways to look at Dharma. And I think there's often this Dharma as ultimate truth, ultimate reality. And that's not where we are. I mean, unless there's some fully enlightened person in the room I'm not aware of. But what we perceive is not reality. If we can remind ourselves of that, that's incredibly important. You ever been in a bad situation? Plenty. Pretty easy question to answer. And ever had a bad situation ultimately work out okay?
Yeah.
Yet throughout the process, or maybe even at the beginning, you were just, it was the worst thing in the world.
I have many of those.
Many of those, yes. You're making this easy for me. So at the beginning of a situation, and this isn't to discount, you know, we go through tremendous trauma, heavy experiences, death, loss, a lot of heavy pain and suffering that exists in our lives and the lives of those around us. But a lot of the suffering that we go through on a day-to-day basis is not the heavy stuff. So all the stuff that's not that heavy, meaning a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, you might not even think twice about it. But when it happens, we perceive it as the most miserable thing in the world, that it's ruined our lives completely. This is not reality. This is our perception of reality. And then all of a sudden, something shifts. Maybe our mind shifts, maybe a situation shifts, a person shifts, whatever it might be, right? The wind just blows a little bit differently. And then all of a sudden, the thing that was like the worst thing in the world isn't so bad anymore. And then not only is it not so bad anymore, it actually isn't even a problem anymore. And then what isn't even a problem anymore actually is something better. So what we initially perceive as something that is so terrible could end up being great. Now the reality is the Dharma, ultimate truth, right? Because Dharma with the capital D often is referred to as ultimate reality, ultimate truth, is to understand that in that whole situation of first it's terrible and then now it's become better, whatever it is didn't change. You changed, or perception changed, circumstances changed, but whatever that initial thing was, you can't change that. So this idea of Dharma in this ultimate truth, ultimate reality, it's important to understand that it's not, and often people are new, I'm not saying you, but often people are new to Buddhism, especially if you come in from other religious views, might think that ultimate reality or ultimate truth is like truth spoken by the Buddha. He was just a human. The words he spoke were no more nonsense than anything else anyone else is saying. He's just making stuff up. And 2,500 years later, people are still talking about the stuff that he made up. But it was just his perception of a situation, not reality. What I believe he